And that is why I decided to follow a plant-based diet. Hope to see you in my next video. Hey guys, it's Sophie from GAINSBYBRAINS and welcome to today's video. This video is kind of a special video because today it is the 4th of May and this marks the first day of me following a plant-based diet. So I wanted to take you on this journey with me. I fell in love with weightlifting a few years ago, and with that you get a new best friend, protein. Protein is one of the stimulators of muscle protein synthesis, and muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown, it happens all the time, and it is the balance of those two that determines whether a tissue breaks down or whether it grows, and all scientific and stuff. But the main thing is that getting an adequate amount of protein in is important if you want to build muscle mass. So that is exactly what I did. Whey protein powder, lean meats, eggs, dairy, all kinds of stuff. Until I decided to switch things up and follow a plant-based diet. So here we are 20 weeks later of me following a plant-based diet, and in this video I'll explain everything about it, how it makes me feel, the struggles I've been through, and also whether I plan on continuing with following a plant-based diet. But first I'll explain my reasoning behind why I wanted to start following a plant-based diet. Besides the environmental reasons and also the animal welfare, I decided to try a plant-based diet because I just wanted to see how my body would respond to it and how it would make me feel, as I was pretty concerned with my protein intake, or I still am, but I noticed that I was consuming a lot of animal products and I just didn't really feel like it anymore. I've been a vegetarian before, so I know how it is or what it feels like to not eat any meat. I've been a vegetarian for 2 years, from when I was 16 until I was 18, and I also didn't consume any dairy products anymore before going vegan. So I had some experience with not eating meat for a longer period of time, and I also already didn't eat any dairy anymore. So I decided to just quit cold turkey and just from one day to the other not eat any animal-based products anymore, and that worked really well for me. The struggles that I encountered so far, and the number one thing that I struggled with during this plant-based journey, is bloating. So when I started transitioning my diet to a plant-based diet, I got bloated pretty frequently and it was pretty uncomfortable at times, and that is to be expected as a plant-based diet is usually a lot higher in terms of fiber, and I was increasing my fiber intake too fast. So if you are increasing your fiber intake, then make sure that you do it really slowly, 2 to 3 grams a day, and if you experience any bloatiness, then hold off with increasing for a few more days until you get rid of the bloating. I didn't really do that, so I just jumped to a higher fiber intake one day to the other, and that wasn't really something that I would recommend you to do. Once I noticed that that got me really bloated, I made sure to keep track of my fiber intake, and that made a big difference. I also noticed that I got pretty bloated because of the fake meat or the meat replacements that are out there. So at the beginning of my plant-based journey, I bought them pretty frequently just because some of them contain a lot of protein and I was looking for protein sources. But as I mentioned, they don't really go well with my body and they got me pretty bloated. I still have them every now and then, but I don't rely on them as much as I did in the beginning, and that really makes a big difference in terms of bloating. I think that this overall took me 2 to 3 weeks to really figure out, and now everything is going really well in terms of bloating. But it is to be expected that whenever you transition to a completely different diet, that you will notice some side effects, and you just have to figure out what is causing what, and then you can figure out a way to deal with it. The other struggle that I encountered and that I still encounter, that I talked about already pretty frequently, and that is my protein intake. So I am pretty concerned about getting enough protein in. I always try to make sure that I reach my protein targets for the day, and that can be a bit of a struggle whenever you are on a plant-based diet. I implement a lot of foods that are high in protein, such as beans, nuts, lentils, rice, quinoa, I don't know really, but that thing. And I also supplement my diet with a protein powder, and that really helped me out. I use a blend between brown rice, hemp and pea to make sure that I get all essential amino acids in, and I also supplement my diet with nutritional yeast, as that is also a complete protein. The only thing is that there aren't many lean protein sources or lean plant-based protein sources, and a lean protein source is a food source that just or mainly just contains protein. So that can make it quite difficult to reach your protein target without overshooting on your total calories, but it is possible. Also, eating out can be quite the challenge, as not every restaurant or every bar has a vegan option. They usually have some kind of vegan option, but it isn't always a complete balanced meal. I think that I'm going out for dinner later today, so that will be quite interesting because I don't know to which restaurant we are going, so I'm also not sure whether they have any vegan options. I'm pretty sure that they have some vegan options. I just don't know what it is and if it is a lot or not, but we'll see. I think that will be interesting, my first experience with going out for dinner while eating a plant-based diet. And I also found that when you are on the road and you're trying to find a snack at the gas station, for example, then your options are pretty limited as well. But I just take a snack with me everywhere I go, basically. I usually have some nuts with me and some protein powder, and that does the trick. You often hear people say that it can be more effortlessly to stay slim whenever you are on a vegan diet. Well, that isn't necessarily the case for me, and that is because I keep track of my caloric intake, I keep track of my macros. So I don't follow a vegan diet to lose weight or with the intention of losing weight. I always make sure that I read my calories, so it doesn't really matter for me which diet I follow. That being said, I partially agree and disagree with the fact that it's more effortlessly to stay slim whenever you are on a vegan diet. And the reason being is that there are a lot of plant-based options that aren't caloric dense. So that means that you can get a whole lot of volume in without a lot of calories, and it isn't very easy to overeat on those types of food items. But there are also a lot of food items, for example nuts or oils, that are caloric dense, so that you can't eat a lot of volume without getting a lot of calories in. But overall, I do feel that my diet is more clean, that I consume more wholesome foods, and that it is more nutritious. And that is something that is really important, because it isn't just about the amount of macros that you get in on a daily basis. The food items that you decide to reach your caloric intake with also play a big part in how your body will feel and how your body will look. I just feel really energized, I feel really good, my digestive system runs really smoothly, I get a lot of micronutrients in, and I just feel really good about not eating any animal products. So as long as I am feeling this way, I will definitely continue with following a plant-based diet. If you would like to give a plant-based diet a try, then I would say that it's completely 100% up to you, and you should do whatever makes you feel best, both physically and mentally. I would recommend you to ease your way into things and don't just jump into it like I did. Maybe start with eating less dairy, maybe start with eating less meat, and then you can move on to eating a completely plant-based diet for a few days of the week, for example, before transitioning to a completely plant-based diet. I think that this way you also allow your body to get used to the changes in your diet, so you won't experience the bloatingness that I did when my fiber intake increased all of a sudden. The best diet is the diet that works best for you, the diet that works best with your body, that makes you feel really, really good, the diet that you enjoy most, and that allows you to stick to it, and that just makes it way easier to maintain and sustain. That was it, 20 weeks of being on a plant-based diet. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like, to leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you will never miss any of my future videos ever again. And now I am going to celebrate with Oreos, because Oreos are vegan. I didn't know. It took me like 5 weeks to figure out, but they are. Hope to see you in my next video.